Hello all and welcome, and I am the Realist Philosopher. This is the Realist Philosopher Show. Where it's 100% truth, 100% of the time, baby. Hooah! So how y'all doing today? Hope you're all doing good, fine, and well. I'm doing all right, feeling much better. Getting less and less sick as each day passes, although you might be able to still hear some hoarseness in my voice. So I'm going to open the phone lines here immediately for anybody that wants to call in and tell me how much they love me, how much they hate me, how much they think I'm a genius, how much they think I'm an idiot. Trolls and lovers of my content alike are free to call in and tell me whatever they might think about me. In the meantime, I would like to talk about the Christchurch shooter. I got into it some last time. But got into a long conversation with one of my callers. I didn't really get into enough depth. I was mainly reading and commenting to play-by-play of what had happened from the mouths of witnesses. And now I'd like to give more of my personal view. But first, I'd like to reference a story. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, in large part, because of this story I came across that's entitled, get this, "The Christchurch shootings should implicate all white Australians. Shame and apology is not enough in confronting our country's virulent racism." All right. So right off the bat, I got to say this. Why isn't the media calling out all the Muslims of the world, the extremists, which the radicalized ones are blowing themselves up or blowing other people up, who are as much as 25% of the Muslim population? Why isn't the media calling them out for their virulent racism? Their virulent bigotry, their virulent hatred of white people. I mean, really, is there any excuse for putting bombs on yourself or on your kids and having yourself or your kids run into a mall and blow up a bunch of innocent people? Nah. Or how about all those shootings in Nigeria of Christians? Nobody has anything to say. Nah, nobody has nothing to say. There's no one group responsible for all that, right? It's not group guilt. It's just one dude who did this, who just happened to be white. But of course, when some dude, or oftentimes many dudes, who all happen to be brown Muslims, commit these kind of evil attacks. What about the bridge stabbings in UK a while back? A bunch of guys were running around an area around a bridge or around the UK in London, stabbing lots of people as a group and killing them. Why wasn't anybody indicting the entire Muslim race? Oh, well, I'll tell you why. Because they want them to come in. They want them to come into white countries and displace white people. Because the narrative is that whites are evil. Right? Whites are responsible for all the suffering of the world. Of course, let's ignore the fact that these Muslims, excuse me, in their own countries, they're still selling slaves. They're still taking slaves. They're still selling slaves. They're still killing slaves. Let's ignore that. White people were the first to get rid of slavery, but it's not gone in the rest of the world because some countries, they still like it. Yeah, they're still backwards enough that they don't understand that slavery is counterproductive and that paid labor does a better job. But of course, in the majority of cases, they just want these people for their sick, disgusting sexual appetites anyway. To do some deviant shit with them, the men and the women alike. So, you know, but we're the bad guys, right? We're the bad guys. We have the probably highest moral standards in the world. But we're cruel, we're evil, and we need to be ashamed. Yeah. So this article was written by somebody named Rachel Withers. I'm withering just reading this crap. Listen to this. It's not that hard to fight right-wing extremists. Where are they? I don't see these right-wing extremists, okay? I don't see them. This guy, maybe he qualifies, but maybe not. He was a fruitcake, you know? Couldn't be mental illness, right? Just couldn't be mentally ill, nut job. It doesn't have to be politically motivated. Even if it is politically motivated, the guy is still clearly nuts. Sane people don't generally, although they sometimes do, right? That's true. but I don't know. Guy wrote a 78-page manifesto. It always seems like these people that write these big manifestos before they perform one of these mass shootings is a nut job. I have yet to see one that's sane. Of course, usually, you know, they have the courtesy to at least kill themselves after they do this. This guy didn't have the balls, I guess. Beta male. He's a beta male. Pussy. Yeah. Blue pill dude. All right, a wimp. We've done it before. For Muslim New Zealanders, the hate that motivated last week's attack is no surprise. So that sentence right there implies that Muslim New Zealanders, yeah, right, oxymoronic there. There's no such thing as a Muslim New Zealander. You people have your own unique culture, long history. These people are not New Zealanders, okay? Not at all. Do you know who they have fealty to first and foremost? Allah! Then their fellow Muslims. And you don't even fall anywhere in there. You're not even number 3 or 4. You're nowhere, okay? Yeah, there's some kind of victims, right? Oh, yeah, they're the poor, put upon people. Give me a break. How Anders Breivik became an icon for a generation of far-right terror. Anders Breivik, another nut. He was a nut. And he was running around shooting white kids, all right? What was that about? New Zealand leaders vow to change nation's gun laws after mass shooting. Of course. Because, you know, when you let a bunch of people into your country, when you betray the citizens that voted you in, I guarantee you the majority of New Zealanders do not want these Muslims coming in. Yet, you vote for these people. What do? They let them in. Sure. Come on in and invade. What, am I supposed to be okay with that because my leaders betrayed me and let these people invade my country? Rape and pillage their way across New Zealand, steal our resources, don't get jobs, displace us by breeding out of control where eventually they're going to take control. They're invaders. What do you expect normal everyday citizens to do? Well, most of them are going to, you know, have a shit-eating grin. I'm going to take it. Take it. I'm going to be a good white man, you know, and show that I am genuinely feeling sorry for all my oppression of you lesser races. But some people are going to be awake and aware, and they're going to get pissed. And some people are going to get pushed over the edge. Some people who are not quite mentally stable to begin with, like this fucking guy. What he did, was it right? No. Was it unexpected? No. You can only push people so far. But of course, default. The cause that led to this effect, it's just white evil. It has nothing to do. And it's guns, of course, right? Yeah, too many guns, even though New Zealand has some of the lowest crime rates, gun crime rates in the world. Even lower than America. And by the way, you might not believe this, but America's gun crime rates are extremely low. They only seem high when you start cherry picking the countries with the least amount of crime, which are also countries that have very few gangs. Most of the gun crime comes from gangs, okay? Oh, good Lord. And because we already have this this population of people who want to separate themselves from us, blacks and Latinos who border us and come into the country to steal our resources, and blacks who self-segregate, because you have these two groups of people already in the country from the get-go almost. Well, yeah, those are the ones. I mean, for something like almost something like 2.5 million gang members in America, and like 99 point something percent of them are black and Latino. It's like, yeah, we got more crime than Germany, and gun crime than Germany and England. I mean, these places have banned guns anyway, but the biggest reason is because there's no gangs. Now, they're starting to build up, you know, as they get more and more of these, you know, fighting age Muslim young men coming into the country. That's the majority of them, by the way. It's amazing how women don't seem to be fleeing persecution, even though they're the people that can defend themselves the least. No, it's always fighting age young men that are coming into these European countries in America. Over 80% of them. Young fighting age men. Where are the old men? Where are the old men and the women and the children? Oh, no. Now, I'm talking about Muslims here, obviously. You know, it's a mixed bag with the Mexicans. But the Muslims, more than 80% of them are young fighting age men. What, do you think that's an accident? No, it's not an accident. And they might later send for their wives, who they'll then use to breed out of control so they outpopulate us. But you have all of these populations who balkanize within America, form their own little districts. They don't assimilate, so they come to hate us, and they really can't compete with the white population. You know, they on average have very low IQ, so what do? They turn to crime, and what you get are all these gangs. A problem you don't have so much in Germany and England and such, which accounts for our high level of gun crime. We're not some kind of country of horrible, evil people. Please, by the way, if you look at who's committing the gun crimes, it's overwhelmingly black people, 12% of the population, but they're responsible for 51% of the murders. Come on! Yeah, Whitey's the bad guy. Okay. Of course, if you told that to a lefty, they'd say, well, you know, black people are so put upon, they're just acting out because of the evil you white people did to them. So they could do no wrong, even if they kill somebody. Yeah, all right. Listen, this story's great. I've gone on long enough, sorry. So who is responsible for the terrorist attack that killed at least 50 New Zealanders that prayed in their mosques? 2 mosques, 50, Something like 150 Christians were just killed in Nigeria, tossed in a mass grave. I didn't hear a peep from the media. Well, they were black, and despite what the media might like you to believe, they don't care about black people, and they certainly don't care about black Christians. Christianity's evil to them. Yet it's Islam that's killing all these people, or some other faction. They don't talk about that. Who is responsible for the attack? The nut job who pulled the trigger. But of course, they're leftists. They don't view things in individualistic terms. They view them in collective terms. So if one person does something bad, all people in that person's racial, ethnic group are responsible. Unless you're black or a Muslim, of course. Then it's just that individual. It was just one crazed Muslim. Not all Muslims are evil or radical. Well, I don't hear anybody in this story saying not all white people are bad or evil. They're actually going out of their way to blame all white people. Lovely. Talk about the contradictions. Looked at one way, the answer is simple. The shooter alone bears the guilt for his crimes. Yeah. But of course you're a leftist, so there's a but. And as Tyrion Lannister said, when you have but, everything that came before it means nothing. Right? She goes on to say, but the picture is wider than that. What do you mean? Of course, leftists don't like things simple. They like to overcomplicate things, so it's really hard to work stuff out unless you can think logically, critically, reasonably. And because, they're leftists, they don't have the ability to do those things. Or even if they do on a very small scale, they obfuscate things so much with their overcomplication that you can't see the truth. Now, I see the truth, of course, and why they like to overcomplicate things, but there is no wider picture. He's responsible for his actions. There's no wider picture in this regard, anyway. Individuals are responsible for their actions. I mean, sure, somebody else might have put them up to it, in which case that person would also be responsible. But it's looking like this guy, there might have been some other people involved, but he's responsible for what he did. They don't like that message, of course, because then they can't spin this evil narrative of evil Whitey, and he has to be punished for the crimes of his ethnically connected ancestors. So Whitey of today needs to pay up for the crimes of Whitey of the past. In the days since the attack, attention has rightly been focused on the shooter's admiration of white supremacists. Who? Oh, especially violent ones like Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik, and nut job that went to some island full of white kids. There's really no connection between an attack like that, ideologically speaking, and this attack, whom the shooter called his true inspiration, and who allegedly gave his blessing for the attack. Oh, boy. This guy's crazy. That's enough said. He needs to go to an asylum. He goes on to say, his manifesto called Donald Trump a symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose. So what? Did Trump tell him to do this? No, then how is Trump in any way, shape, or form responsible? But they're trying to claim that Trump had some responsibility. It's very interesting. Very interesting. A lot of mass murderers out there liked Obama and committed mass murder when Obama was in power. Did anybody blame Obama? No, he's black. Black people have no agency. And uses words that directly echo Trump's own. You want to be more specific? Can you be more specific? What do you mean directly echo? Uses words. So, okay, No actual examples, so they don't have any, right? This is just pure dishonesty right here. The discussion can be, did Trump ever say, go out and shoot Muslims? What has Trump ever said that directly... They like to leave it vague, right? So your imagination can fill in the blanks. So they don't have to give you any examples. And for the low IQ idiots that are the useful idiots out there who essentially just believe whatever the media tells them, no, Trump has said things that directly echo things this guy said. So they're the same. Oh, okay. The discussion can even be expanded to those who have helped shape the U.S. president's message. What message? Can you tell me what that message is? So I can essentially give a counter argument. No, we're just going to make vague aspersions, and we're just going to make these vague references. So, you don't have anything specific that you can address or counter. Typical leftist technique. It's not unreasonable to place some measure of blame on those who have stoked the international spread of white supremacist ideology. What are there, like 500 white supremacists in America? If you take all the fucking skinheads and the KKK members and you put them all in one room, depending on the size of the room, they might fill it, but it wouldn't be a packed house. There's not that many of these people left. The radical ones that might actually take action and do something nutty. What, a few hundred? What the hell? These people are a non-issue. Statistically speaking, they're non-existent. What are you talking about these people for? Where's this white supremacist stuff I'm supposed to be seeing all over the place? Where are the white people running around bombing shit? I don't see it happening. Stoke the international spread of white supremacist ideology. Do you mind outlining that ideology for me? So why do I feel so guilty? And why am I so angry, not just at the obvious targets, but at my country? I don't know. Because you're a whack job just like this shooter? I'm a white Australian. Well, I already guessed that. The self-hate is evident. I know that blaming myself and my cohort is illogical. Yeah, it's illogical. Why are you doing it? Because you're a leftist. These people are slaves to their emotions. They can't escape them. They don't know what logic is. I know it's illogical, but I'm doing it anyway. I can't escape the feeling. Yeah, see, you can't escape your feelings. Yeah, because, you've enslaved yourself to them. But all of white Australia is implicated in the deaths. You can't escape that feeling because you're an idiot, right? Because you're a slave to your ideology. A white majority that is fomented and let foment hate. Where? The only thing I see Australians doing is trying to make amends with the very few Aborigines you got left, because the majority of these Aborigines have either died off or they've interbred with the local population. So you got a lot of half-breeds running around, or quarter breeds, or 10th breeds, and it's very hard to tell the difference between them and native Australians. So, big whoop-de-doo-dah. Who cares? What are you talking about fomenting hate? I don't... Though he may have labeled himself a European, 28-year-old Brenton Tarrant was an Aussie through and through. Are you aware that all Australians came from Europe, you idiot? Except, of course, for the Aborigines that have, as I said, interbred. Yeah, it was a penal colony. They sent a lot of prisoners there who started colonies of their own. They got rid of the undesirables by dumping them there. The majority of you people are descended from criminals and rapists and murderers and shit. Should we hold you responsible for their actions? No, but we should hold all white people responsible for this one dude's actions. Very interesting. Do you see the contradictions in your non-arguments? No, of course you don't. Totally lacking in self-awareness. He labeled himself a European. He kind of is, right? Even though not technically. 20-year-old Aussie through and through, because you want to indict all Australian people with your non-argument. Growing up in a country town north of Sydney, steeped in mainstream Australian racism. Ah, you hate your own country, you hate yourself. Yeah, you're a leftist, of course. Of course, you're a radical leftist. And our particular national brand of Islamophobia. To anybody that uses that word is a crazy, radical, communist, Marxist, leftist, feminist scumbag. There's no such thing as Islamophobia, all right? If I'm afraid of Islam, it's because there were like 30,000 fucking terrorist attacks last year, all committed by Islamic people. You want to know how many of them were committed by Christians? Like less than 100. That might account for why I don't have Christian phobia. Whatever that would be called. Christianophobia. Nobody's even thought up a word for that yet because nobody's afraid of Christians. And nobody needs to create this bullshit propaganda word to make you feel guilty for your very, very rational fear. Because Christians ain't running around blowing people up en masse. So stupid. He grew up in the same Murdoch-controlled mass media environment. Murdoch-controlled. Fox News! Oh, fake news! First of all, let me tell you something, all right? Fox News is by far not a conservative network, okay? You might have a few faux conservative voices out there that spout some conservative rhetoric, but for the majority of them are a bunch of leftists themselves, okay? You know, leftists in sheep clothing, all right? And they're all a bunch of globalists. The majority of them anyway are. Maybe not Tucker Carlson, but even he's got some left-leaning globalist ideas, right? I mean, the majority of these people are leftists, Murdoch-controlled mass media. Give me a break. One that recently trashed Islam 2,891 times in a single year. I wonder how many times CNN and MSNBC and all the other mainstream networks trashed white people. I bet it's 10 times that number. You got fucking Don Lemon, who's gay, running around saying that white people are evil. It's very interesting that he hasn't been kicked off the air for that, but that Judge Janine, she's kicked off the air for questioning Ilhan Omar. Yeah, interesting. And saying far less objectionable things. Just asking questions, raising some concerns. You're out of here. Yeah. Fox News is really, really radical right. Yeah, they kicked her off for essentially calling into question some of the things Ilhan Omar said about Israel. Oh, you got to go. Boy. Yeah, 2,891 times in a single year. Whoop-de-frickin-do. I mean, really, I got to do some research and count how many times that lefties like you have trashed white people. And under the same governments with prime ministers who have repeatedly stoked anti-Muslim sentiments for votes. Where's this happening? I don't see this happening. Stoking anti-Muslim. They're all kissing Muslims' asses. What are you talking about? Trump might be the only one that ain't kissing Muslims' asses, by the way, but he's not saying bad stuff about them. With one major party making it central to their electoral strategy. Yeah. Okay. Give me some examples. No, just make claims without actually giving an argument. That's the way the left does things. Critical theory! I grew up steeped in the same environment, just 2 years younger than Tehran. Oh, you're even younger than him, so she's 26. Child. I'm twice her age. Get the fuck out of here, honey. You don't know what you're talking about. Just 2 years younger than Tehran, and when I was a child, the omnipresent racism seemed normal to me. Well, you know, when you label everything racist, yeah, it's kind of normal because everything's racist in your mind. Australia was a proud multicultural country. Oh, God. Proud. When? I was told, but this also seemed to encompass race riots and the turning back of boats filled with brown, black, and Muslim refugees. They're not refugees, okay? It's been found that 90+% of these people are not political refugees. They are economic migrants seeking jobs or free money, i.e. welfare, okay? Don't tell me that. What are they refugees from? They crashed their own fucking countries. They have this internecine war going on, right? You've got Muslims killing each other. You've got Muslims killing Jews. Jews fighting back. They're displaced because they can't form a stable government. How is that my problem? So publicly demonstrative racists like Australian Senator Pauline. Yeah, you'd love to make these claims, right? Pauline, please explain. Hanson, we're a national joke. In your opinion, not a national threat. The refugees were the threat, apparently. Yeah, because they're wolves in sheep's clothing. They're claiming to be refugees. You know they're not refugees. You just want them to come in and displace Whitey, which is yourself, you moron. Why don't you cut your own throat while you're at it, you idiot? Fucking idiot. What a useful idiot. Low subpar IQ. You're the perfect tool. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the refugees were the problem. These days, as one local from Tehran's hometown told the New York Times, there's still a lot of racism around the place. Anecdotal fucking bullshit. Where? Show me evidence. Show me instances of racism. Don't just make these vague general claims. Show me evidence. No, we don't need evidence, just feelings. I feel there was racism, so that's the truth. It's my truth. It's usually a sort of hidden a little bit. It's hidden, but I searched it out. Well, yeah, it turns out if you search hard enough, you can find, something to fit your view of things, right? Yeah. Anybody say confirmation bias? All right, so continuing. You could say the same of federal policy. By the way, the lines are open. If anybody would like to call in and comment, the number's on the screen, as is my Skype. But you're probably enjoying my rant too much, so I'll continue. You could say the same of federal politics, which is its coded appeals to white racist fear. It's only hidden until suddenly you can't avoid it. Indeed, many white Aussies will tell you that the persistence of racist tropes is mostly harmless. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Could you be more specific? Nah, she can't be more specific. As many did after the Serena Williams cartoon incident. I love it. So for those of you who don't know, what happened with Serena Williams, she had a hissy fit, entitled Old Black Lady. She's pushing 40. Was losing to a much younger Asian girl, so she got angry, she got upset. She did some things she shouldn't have, crashed her racket down, started claiming sexism, even though men who have done the same thing have essentially been hit with the same kind of fines and the same kind of penalties. But she had a hissy fit. She got fined a match, and, that was supposedly sexism. Yeah, okay. You do something wrong. If you're black, no agency. And if anybody calls you out on it, you're a racist. You're the one that's bad and evil. And you're responsible for her crashing that racket and bad-mouthing the judge. Yeah, okay. Australians are just a bunch of fun-loving, cheeky larrikins. Right, mate? I don't know what she's making reference to. Well, we can now say that one of the deadliest hate crimes in history. Hate crimes? What do you label all those terrorist incidents? I mean, what about the World Trade Center? Over 3,000, I think 3,000 people dead? That wasn't a hate crime? Well, it's very interesting. It's only a hate crime when Whitey does it, right? If a black guy does something, there's no hate involved. They just can't control themselves. They're just a bunch of low IQ colored people. Oh, excuse me, people of color. Because, we see them that way because of the bigotry of low expectations, and we can't help ourselves, but we're not racist. It's you, Whitey. Oh, wait, I'm white too. Okay, it's you, Republicans. You're racist, not us. The ones who are keeping black people on the fucking plantation by giving them all this free welfare and cutting them off at the fucking knees and making it impossible for them to take care of themselves. I love it. Yeah. Well, we can now say that one of the deadliest hate crimes, it was. Yeah. There are tons of other crimes that have happened that were clearly motivated by hate, in addition to other things that killed a lot more people, including 120 people that were just killed in fucking Nigeria. Oh, but, that's Christians getting killed. We're not going to label that a hate crime. Was perpetrated by a white Australian. Wrong, you dumb bitch. But not just by a white Australian, as Amy Remekis at The Guardian put it. The massacre was carried out in the name of white Australia. Who says? Who says? Did he say? Did somebody appoint him the ambassador for Australia, and then as ambassador he ran around in his capacity as ambassador shooting a bunch of Muslims in their mosques? No. I don't think it counts if it's self-appointed. Do you? I've just appointed myself emperor of the fucking world. Now kneel down and worship me and kiss my feet and do some other stuff down there too if you're a good-looking broad. Are you going to do it? No! Am I the emperor of the fucking world because I said I'm the emperor of the fucking world? No! This guy's a nut job. He could have called himself Napoleon. Is he Napoleon? Does he represent France suddenly? Well, what is this nonsense? Name of white Australia. He carried it out in the name of white Australia. Who gives a fuck? He's nuts. He's a nut job. You're going to take some guy that thinks he's the representative of Australia and goes around and shooting a bunch of people? You're going to take his claims to be the representative of all Australians seriously? I'm sure not. Oy vey. I've long felt that racism is Australia's most serious problem. No. Your most serious problem is all the Islamic people you're taking in who are going to outbreed you and then through the vote take over your country. Well, that's your most serious problem, Whitey, because then they're going to sentence you to death because once they're in charge, Sharia law, baby, and you are an unbeliever. Yes, racism is our festering sore. I've written about it before. Many other Aussies have also been unsurprised, as I was. It's because you expect the worst and you think everything's racism, so when something like this happens, of course you're not surprised to learn that Tarrant was one of ours. But that lack of surprise should be more damning, not less. You're somebody who sees the glass as always half empty, so when the glass comes up half empty, objectively, legitimately, big fucking surprise. Your pessimist was proven right once. Ooh, yeah, that's a big shock. I have not myself stoked racial resentment. You just accused an entire race of being responsible for the actions of one nut job. What do you think you're doing? See, the lack of self-awareness here is shocking. She spent this entire article indicting all white Australians and Donald Trump, who is the president of America. So, by extension, she's indicting all white people, or at least white people in America, too, and her own country for sure. But you're not stoking racial resentment? What? Oh, my God. Nor did I vote for Senator Fraser Amney, nor the governments that made race-baiting appeals. You're the only one race-baiting. She's race-baiting and then accusing others of race-baiting. Good Lord. But did I do enough to stop the ideology spread? Did I just read this right? She's talking about stopping others from being too ideologically polarized and wondering if she's done enough to stop the spread of evil ideology. Meanwhile, she's spreading evil ideology by saying that all white people are bad, evil, responsible for this guy's actions. Oh, my Lord. She goes on to say, did I condemn hatred loud enough? You hate not all white people. The only one responsible for hatred is you. Did I fight white supremacy every day? What about black supremacy? What about Islamic supremacy? Both don't exist. Oh, my God. I just feel like giving this broad some crayons or finger paint. Now go over there and paint a tree. That's a good little girl. She's so dumb. How dumb can you be? I did not pull the trigger, but it does not feel right to say I bear absolutely none of this national burden. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to me. Yeah. So you blame yourself for the things you do, not for the things you don't do. But your question is whether or not you hold some kind of blame. God. Shame, guilt, remorse, disgust, whatever you want to call it. I'm not alone. A number of Australian commentators are expressing similar feelings over the actions of one of our citizens. I love this self-remonstration for profit. It's great. Yeah, these are people who are sellouts, and they're willing to remonstrate themselves for things they didn't even do just to get ahead. We talk about virtue signaling. We face an overdue and now unavoidable reckoning with the role of our anti-immigrant politics and culture played in shaping and normalizing Tarrant's brand of hate. It's called mental illness, sweetheart. I bet you this broad believes in reparations for slavery, too. And I bet she believes in giving reparations to all the surviving Aborigines, too. She goes on to say, we're a nation born of shame. What also cannot be ignored is that our citizen went and did this as a guest in another nation. Why do you think he was in another nation? To get away from all the PC bullshit in your country. And what's he confronted with? He's got to deal with it there, too. As Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalziel told CNN, he did not develop his hatred here. He came here to perform this act of terrorism. Why did he go to New Zealand? Because Australia's too PC. If he was an Australian citizen angry about Muslim immigration, partly it may have been Australia's strict gun laws. And no, because there's more guns in Australia now than there were before that gun grab buyback bullshit, okay? And by the way, gun crime went up in Australia after that, so yeah, that worked real well. His attack would have been much harder to pull off at home. Not really. Tarrant didn't originally intend to target New Zealand. He was only living there while he planned and trained. But he soon decided that New Zealand would bring attention to the truth of the assault on our civilization. You don't know that. You're just giving opinion. You're just voicing opinion, more propaganda, that nowhere in the world was safe. The invaders were in all of our lands. That's right. Even in the remotest areas of the world. All right. It's enough. It's enough of this dopey broad. I can't read any more of this crap. All right. Okay, so this guy wanted to send a message, okay? He wanted to send a message. He wanted to try and wake people up, to get them to see what's going on. That, look, the invader is here. He's building mosques. There's more mosques in fucking England than there are in fucking Saudi Arabia or some shit. They're here to stay, okay? They've got their own fucking community patrols driving around in cars that look like cop cars. I wonder where they got the money for that. So I got somebody sending me a message in fucking Skype. Don't send messages. It's a call-in show. You want to talk about what happened in New Zealand, you can call in. Meanwhile, I want to continue giving my thoughts. So this guy is sending a message, right? And he wants to wake everybody up to the fact that we are being invaded. Look, where are they? Where are they going? They're not going to China, right? They're not going to Vietnam or Cambodia or fucking South Korea. South Korea doesn't want them, by the way. Or Japan. Where are these people going? Where are all these Muslims going? They're going to the West. You know why they're going to the West? Because we, as a nation, Americans, we're very compassionate people, right? We're very compassionate people. We have a highly developed sense of morality. It's very easy to make us feel bad about the mistakes of our ancestors. And it's very easy to get us to accept collective guilt for the actions of those that came before us. It's not difficult to do. And the progressives, the leftists, they've been ideologically training, indoctrinating students, Americans, for the past 3 generations to believe this crap. All right? They've been indoctrinating Americans for generations to be non-thinkers and to accept leftist ideology, to think of socialism as a good thing. So people have very little immunity to these type of radical ideas. So it's easy to guilt us into giving you free shit. Look at our welfare. It's absurd. We're going to give look at the catch and release programs. It's ridiculous. You actually get rewarded for breaking the law in America. You cross the border illegally, you get rewarded. Yeah, they can hold you for up to 20 days, but then what do they have to do? They let you go. But do they let you go into Mexico? Do they deport you? No. They let you go in America and say, okay, come back in a year. Why? Why would I come back in a year? I don't have any documentation in this country. I can call myself Jorge. I can call myself Homie the fucking clown. You don't know who I am. They're called undocumented for a reason. So how are you going to find them? You can't find them. They just disappear into the ether. They're working somewhere on somebody else's social security number, which is also a crime. So not only have they broken the law by entering the country illegally, they're also working illegally. Who cares? They get rewarded for it. We're a bunch of pushovers in America. That's the problem with white people. Along with our highly developed intellect and our generally high IQs and ability to think creatively and abstractly, we also have a very highly developed sense of morality, but unfortunately our feelings often trump logical thinking, especially with women. That's why this wouldn't be happening if men were in charge. Now, I'm sorry if some of you out there are ladies and you don't like this, but I'm not really sorry because it's just fact, okay? Women are overly emotional. You don't let them fucking be in the driver's seat, okay? Well, the first thing you know, somebody's going to give you the finger because you cut them off, and then she's going to drive them off the fucking road and try to run them over. I mean, it's crazy. Don't let women drive the fucking car. Men drive. You're the head of the fucking household. Now suddenly women have more say because there's more of them They outlive us, and they have the vote. Women are sentimental. Women are emotional. You don't let them make these kind of decisions. Now, granted, there's some exceptions out there, like that Ann Coulter broad, right, who actually has the ability to think logically. I think she's got some kind of extra levels of testosterone running through her body. I don't know. She's kind of got the man hands thing, but lots of testosterone means big hands. But anyway, women making these kind of decisions because they make good, useful idiots, which is, by the way, why feminism gets pushed, so that women can then take control, and then the government and the globalists weaponize the women against the men. Women take over, and then all of a sudden, you've got this situation. Oh, these poor refugees fleeing war. Women with their empathy. Oh, yeah. They feel empathetic for them, but not for their own people or their own men, for that matter. Or their own kids, for that matter, because they raise these kids without fathers. Who cares, right? I'm an empowered woman. I'm so empowered, I don't give a shit about my own men or kids. But I care about that poor, pathetic person over there in Nigeria, even though a lot of Christians were just killed. I don't care about them. Or that Muslim. Yeah, they care so much about the Muslims, right? They're just useful idiots. They're just useful idiots. If they were weaponized to care about those people in Nigeria, they might, but they're not. They're useful idiots. They've been weaponized against their own countries, and look where we are now. Look where we are now. And this is no shock to me. This guy, I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. This Tarrant guy. I'm surprised there haven't been dozens, hundreds of these kind of attacks with white people getting fed up with their own government importing our enemies and letting them take over. Here you go. Here's the keys to my fucking house. You want the keys to my car too? Oh, you're an aggrieved minority. Oh, my great-great-granddaddy, you claim he did something bad to you, or another white person. Well, I'm white too, so I share some kind of connection with them. Some other white person did something bad to your family or your people, so now I owe you. You want my land? Here's my wallet. You want my job too? No, we don't want to work. We just want your shit. We want welfare. We just want to sit on our asses, fuck all our wives and outbreed you so we can take over your country. Because you're a bunch of evil scumbag, imperialists, colonizers. The biggest fucking colonizers in the world are the Muslims. All the countries they're in now, they didn't used to be Muslim countries, but they were running around killing, raping, murdering, enslaving everybody for 1,000 years. All those Middle Eastern countries, they didn't used to be Muslim. But they colonized. Do you see them feeling bad or guilty about that? No, they'll tell you to go fuck yourself if you tell them they should feel guilty, which is what white people ought to be doing too. But too many of you are a bunch of pussies, a bunch of wimps. So you don't say anything. You just let them take your fucking car. Hell, you give them the keys. And now you're such a bunch of wimps, you're inviting them to come into your country and kill you and rape your women and steal your shit. Hey, here's the keys to my house. Fuck, I'll just take the door off my house so you can just walk in whenever you feel like it and steal my shit. Because it shouldn't be my shit, because I got it dishonestly by raping and pillaging and murdering your people. Bunch of bullshit, by the way. So it's no surprise to me that this guy flipped out and shot up some mosques. I expect it to happen more as white people become ever more displaced and ever more pissed off that their governments aren't listening to them. So what are your thoughts on the New Zealand shooting? Was it just a matter of time? Are you not surprised by what happened? Are all white people to blame for what this Tarrant guy, this Australian guy did, like this dopey feminist broad by the name of Rachel Withers has to say? Are we all guilty for the actions of one white guy? Are we all to be held to blame for his actions? Was this really the greatest mass shooting of hate in history? What nonsense, by the way. That's objectively disprovable. This broad is so stupid. Let me know what you think. You can call in, you leave a comment, whatever. No comments? This is a call-in show, you know. All right, so if you would like to call in anytime while the show is going, you can simply call the number 623-242-2517. That's 623-242-2517. It doesn't actually have to be about the subject I'm discussing at the time, though that's, desirable. Also, Skype, The Realist Philosopher. And Skype isn't really that bad a program. I know a lot of people, dislike Skype. They think it eats up a lot of resources, but that's not actually true. And that was true when it first came out, but it's not such a resource hog anymore. And also, it doesn't run in the background even when you shut it down. So it's a good program to download. And also, if you have a question, but you're too afraid to come on the show, well, you don't want to come on the show directly, or you don't have the time, you can email me at admin@therealistphilosopher.com. That's admin@therealistphilosopher.com. And I'll answer your question on the show. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you have a lot of that's all my social media. I'm on Gab. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter and Facebook. I didn't used to be, but I decided it was time to catch up with the times. So for those of you who are tuning in late, I have a cold. I'm still getting over. I'm much, much better than I was last week, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I need to go get vaccinated. That's the kind of stuff that you don't keep up on when you get older. But, yeah, I remember I used to get sick. It would just be like a few days and then the sniffles and it'd be gone. Now it's like a week and a half or something, or 2 weeks. And whew, it only happens once a year generally, but still. You're not supposed to be sick that long. So I definitely need to go get vaccinated for like the flu. And I suppose there's a whole bunch of stuff you need to get vaccinated for. I haven't been vaccinated in ages. So definitely going to have to look into that. But yeah, this stuff that happened in New Zealand, it's interesting, isn't it? How the media pays so much attention to this. But you've got all these Christian killings in Nigeria and nobody cares. You always hear the left talking about how, they care so much about minorities. Right, because black people in Africa aren't minorities, right? It's very interesting. Yeah, but they don't care. Oh, they're impoverished. We need to help them. Yeah, but when they do something that goes against the leftist narrative, right? They don't like that too much, so they won't comment on it. Doesn't really happen in their mind. It doesn't concern them. They don't care, and they hate Christians too. The left hate Christians. The reason for that is because throughout history, the majority of whites have been Christian, and they associate Christianity with the oppression that colonizers have inflicted on all these poor, low IQ people who just can't seem to take care of themselves, so we need to help them, even though the reason they can't take care of themselves isn't because they're low IQ and they really can't compete with the rest of the world, but because, white people impoverished their country and stole their wealth. Do you have any idea how much it cost to be in these countries as so-called colonizers? I mean, if it was such a fucking cash grab, if there was so much wealth to be had, why did European countries get the fuck out of India and Africa? Why'd they get out? Why? If there was so much wealth to be had, if they were making so much bank, France and England and Germany, being in these countries, why'd they get out? Because it actually wasn't this big fucking cash grab. It actually cost them tons of money to administer these far-off fucking colonies and be responsible for law and order and public utilities and running the fucking country. Are you kidding me? They didn't make money off this shit. They lost money. Idiots out there believe this stuff. These are the idiots that also believe that slaves built America. Really? Do you have any idea how inefficient a slave is? They'll do about as much as they feel like fucking doing. It was found even back then that a paid worker was 3 times more efficient. Slaves did their best to collectively do as little as fucking possible so that their slave owners would have as little objective idea of what they could actually produce in a single day as possible as compared to what they were actually producing, which was very little. They did as little as humanly possible. What's the slave owner going to do? Huh? You going to kill him? He's going to punish him? No! All that stuff you see in the movies of them stringing the fucking slaves up and whipping them and shit, and it was very rare. Very, very rare. That would happen if a slave tried to run or something, but generally speaking, slaves were treated okay. Now they were slaves. I mean, again, okay, yeah, they're slaves, so that in and of itself is not treating people okay, but they were given food, they were given shelter, they were given clothes, they were taken care of, their health was taken care of. There was too much money invested in these people to let them go to shit, right? They even got dental care. They got housing in their old age. I mean, they were drained. They weren't very productive. So to say that they actually built America is nonsense. They had no skills. They had no skills. What could they do? Pick cotton? Yeah, big skills. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Most of them weren't even bright enough to be blacksmiths, okay? And by the way, there's a lot of technical ability in being a blacksmith. It's not just hitting a fucking piece of metal with a hammer. You actually have to have some a decent level of IQ for that. So, you know, give me a fucking break that these people built America. It's nonsense. Yeah, the South had a lot of wealth tied up in them, which is why they continued to use them, okay? They were kind of stuck with them. But, I mean, what the hell were they going to do otherwise, right? Sell them. Sell them to who? The North? The North didn't use slaves. How do you think the North won the war? The Civil War between the North and the South. They had industry, and they didn't have slaves. They had paid workers, you know, because, right, they had advanced more quickly. They had industry. They had factories. They had automation because they didn't have slaves to fall back on, so they had to develop mass production capabilities. So they outproduced the fucking South big time. And that's part of the reason they won. That and the fact that they let blacks serve. And there were like 180,000 black people in the Northern Army. I mean, well, and by the way, when the South lost and all those slaves were freed, it was trillions of dollars of wealth lost to the South. Trillions of dollars in 1865 money, by the way. Holy shit. That, by the way, is why many parts of the South today are still impoverished. To this fucking day. The hit to their economies was so huge, it still felt 150 years later. So don't tell me that slaves built America. They were a huge drain on the country. They're still a huge drain on the country. Black people cannot compete with whites. They, on average, do not have a high enough level of IQ to compete in the modern day market. They're being displaced by people coming from outside who are also low IQ and stealing their jobs. And then you've got the Democratic Party feeding them welfare to keep them dependent in exchange for votes. Oh, but Whitey's to blame. The Democratic Party and Democrats are to blame, but not real Republicans. That's for sure. You get a lot of rhinos, by the way, who give Republicans a bad name. There's not a lot of true Republicans out there. And by the way, I'm not a conservative. A lot of conservatives are also globalists, by the way. I'm just a philosopher. I see the truth. I'm red-pilled. I see red-pill truth. I understand how reality works. I'm just telling you how it is. And so sometimes how it is sort of lines up with and runs parallel with some of the views of conservatives, and sometimes, very rarely though, because leftists are so unhinged, but sometimes on rare occasion the truth also runs parallel with some of the beliefs of the left. So I'm neither. I'm a realist. I'm a philosopher. I take sides when the truth. I take sides with the truth. The truth is the side I take always, convenient or inconvenient. So what do you think about what I've had to say? Do you think I'm evil? Do you think I'm a white supremacist? Whatever the hell that means. And what do you think of this guy, Tarrant, this Australian guy? Well, he was obviously evil. Evil is as evil does, as far as Gump would have said. One of the few smart things he said. That came from his mother, by the way, I think. Stupid is as stupid does. I'm just, well, okay, sitting next to say evil is as evil does, but, he's right about that. You are what you do, not what you say. Of course, the left would have you believe otherwise, of course. Because words can mislead, right? And you can use words to mislead people. Yeah, sentimentality feeds off of words, doesn't it? Not actions. Generally speaking, anyway. All right, so anyway, to finish this story, the horror of this attack is compounded by the fact that New Zealand is meant to be our mate, our greener, funnier, more progressive little sibling. More progressive. That might be the problem. Do you think that's might have something to do with why this guy targeted New Zealand? Because they're more progressive than Australia, if that's possible, by the way. There are many cliched metaphors to describe the special relationship between Australia and New Zealand, and they feel especially meaningless now, but it's the closest relationship we have. It's a closeness Tarrant took advantage of, committing his crime in the country that welcomes us without a visa. Uh-huh. Okay, so what? This is makes all Australians guilty? Of course, I'm sure she wouldn't blame the Aborigines, even though they're Australians too. It's just white Australians, right? Because only white people can be racist. She's dumb. She's a dumb woman, low IQ. We are a nation born of shame, she goes on to say. No, you're a nation born of convicts. Convicts! You idiot! It was a fucking penal colony, moron. A white majority Australia exists only as the result of a genocidal invasion. A lot of these people died from disease, all right? What do you think, the Aborigines weren't killing each other too? They killed themselves, they killed each other, you killed By the way, you think blacks haven't invaded other blacks' territory? Ah, we got Sith calling in. Hope he has something interesting to say. Hello, Sith. How are you?
Hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, you're about 2 minutes away from the end of the show, so you chose to call in a little late, so make it quick. What do you got to say?
Did you hear about the shooting in Netherlands?
No.
The tramway.
When was this?
It was yesterday. It was a Turkish enriched migrant, of course.
So it's a Muslim.
Yeah, of course.
And what did he do?
He shot people. He shot people in the train.
How many?
In the tramway. I think 2 or 3 people. Only that.
Well, only that's enough.
He was arrested. His face was all over the news. So he's already in jail.
So CNN talk about this? Did MSNBC talk about it?
I don't know.
Are they referring?
Media.
They referring to this guy as an Islamist supremist, a Muslim supremast?
No, they only say that he's Turkish and he
not
was
Islamic.
Born in... Yeah, I think he's a Muslim, of course.
Yeah, but are they calling him Islamic? Are they referring to him as Islamic? Or are they just saying he's Turkish?
Yeah, they said he had some Muslim tendencies. Maybe he affiliated himself to the how do they ISIS? I think.
But they didn't call him like a supremacist, like a Turkish supremacist or an Arab supremacist.
They never say that. They never say that. Yeah. They only say he's a terrorist. That's all.
But this guy Tarrant is a white supremacist, right? White supremacist, right? He's a white supremacist, but this guy is not a Turkish supremacist or a person of color supremacist, whatever the hell he is.
Yeah, of course, because we have to feel guilty about these poor enriched migrants. That's why.
I feel real bad for these people. I can't get the welfare they're getting. They get fucking free housing. They get food stamps. They get money every month. They get enough money that they can go over the border in Sweden and buy fucking hand grenades and then toss them into police stations in Sweden. These people who have been nice enough, kind enough to give them all this free shit. Bunch of suckers. They're cutting their own throats. Yeah. These people are real impoverished. I should feel so sorry for them. Yeah, they're able to have 6, 7 kids on the state's dime, on your dime, on my dime, on the dime of the taxpayers of the countries that they have invaded at the behest of these countries' leaders who are supposed to be protecting their people, but instead they seem to care more about protecting people who are faux refugees from fucking Afghanistan and Syria than protecting their own people. Yeah, that they're so impoverished. They're so oppressed.
I have an example here in France. For example, single moms, they receive an allocation from the state that is equal to almost the minimum wage. It's about $1,000 per month.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
If they don't pay, they have healthcare, free healthcare, of course, for their kids and themselves.
Wow, and people wonder why there's so many single moms out there. I mean,
here in France, it's like 25% of women are single moms.
In America, it's like 50 now. It's crazy. Yeah. You incentivize behavior, you'll get more of that behavior. It's called a perverse incentive. Although women, of course, don't think there's anything perverse about using a man for his sperm and then for his wallet, but not marrying him, not finding a man of good virtue, of good quality, and then spending your life with him and producing a stable, productive child with good moral standards. Oh, no. That's not perverse to eschew all of that and just choose a life of being single and having other people pay for me. Now, there's nothing perverse about that.
I have an example about the women's virtues. I've been discussing with an English broad that is of Lithuanian origin. She's married. She's been married for 10 years, and now she's not happy with her marriage, and she wants, well, I think, to ride some of the cocks.
Yeah, 10 years.
That's what I.
Are you aware that in many places, especially in Europe, including in Europe, but also in America, that's kind of the mark where you get alimony for life?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that's the case in America. I know in California, in many places, that if you stay married for 10 years, you'll get lifetime alimony. What's up with that? You're so empowered, you're so strong, ladies, that you essentially want a man to give you free money for life for past use of a vagina. What's empowered about that? How strong are you that you need this free money? For what?
And it happens more when the woman is young because she wants to ride that cock, those different cocks.
Cock carousel,
yeah. They like it. It gives them empowerment.
So she's been married for 10 years and she's just feeling unsatisfied?
From 18 to 20. To 28. She was married when she was a virgin. So, of course, she didn't experience enough cocks running through her teeth and her vagina. That's what I got.
So she wants to. What is he doing that she doesn't like? What has he done that makes her want to get a divorce? Has he done anything bad? Does he beat her? Does he treat her poorly? Does she have some kind of?
She doesn't feel happy. She doesn't feel happy. That's all she said to me. She didn't want to.
That's it.
It's bullshit.
Yeah,
it's because she doesn't love him anymore. That's why. I just think it's that.
She may never have loved him. That's probably the case. Never loved the guy. Wow. See, this is the problem. This is the problem. You see. So she got married young. So she probably got with him, got married to him because of lust or some other bullshit. You know, either she wasn't looking for virtue, didn't know what to look for in terms of virtue, wasn't even aware that virtue is a real thing. Maybe she cared more about his looks. Maybe it was lust, whatever, and then he just happened to turn out to be a good provider. She has no complaints other than, I'm not happy. By the way, this could also be feminism, because feminism programs women to never be happy because it tries to get them to focus, and successfully gets them to focus on things that have nothing to do with actually being happy. So you're set up to fail from the start with this evil ideology that's feminism. So I'm not surprised that she's got the, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Of course, it never is. But the whole point is to keep men and women from not being able to form stable relationships. So she should be happy, but because of feminism, it'll never happen.
I would like to point out she's from Lithuania, and Lithuania is in the Eastern Europe. So it has infected all Eastern countries too. Oh, yeah. Feminism is present everywhere, and women have been culturally enriched by Hollywood to behave like men.
Yeah, that's right.
So be aware, man.
Oh, I'm aware.
Do not trust Eastern broads.
Oh, no, I definitely do not. Of course, at my age, I don't have much interest in them anymore. Hopefully, you'll have that happen, too. It's not that I don't have the testosterone, but I know too much. I've seen too much, so the interest just isn't there. It's not worth the price of admission, essentially.
And even Middle Eastern women, I've been with them. They are extremely nagging. They are even more insupportable than Western women. So be aware, too.
I know. Thank you very much for bringing us these red pills, Seth. Much appreciated. You take care, buddy.
My pleasure.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I want to close on that note. He's not wrong, and I've experienced this myself living in Asia. It's infiltrated Japan. It's infiltrated China. These kind of feminist ideas and the feminist ideology has infiltrated everywhere through mass media, through TV. You might think that some of these countries like China are closed off from the world, but they're not. There's a whole black market of Western TV shows, and they're able to get online. They have VPNs in China, you know. So they have access to these evil, insidious ideas. And don't kid yourself, ideas can be bad, ideas can be harmful. There is such a thing as harmful ideas. Ideas are harmless. That's some ivory tower pinhead intellectual telling you that. No, ideas can be very harmful, and feminism is one of those insidious ideas. I'm not surprised he has a friend, Sith, some broad that wants to get divorced because she's just unhappy because she's thinking about what she might have missed out on, right? Yeah, there's so much that she might have missed out on. And marriage, of course, is oppressive to women. It enslaves them. It keeps them from experiencing all the interesting things out there in the world, like other cocks, other men. Oh, geez, I've only been with one guy. Yeah, it could be so much better with all these other men. Fleeting happiness. Let me tell you something, honey. Let me tell you something as a man who's had a lot of poon. There's not a huge difference. I mean, insofar as, women that haven't popped out kids. People that had kids, yeah, there's a difference there. But, poon that hasn't had a big watermelon-sized baby head pop through it, it's all pretty much the same. Some's tighter, some's looser, but not a big difference. B-flaps aside, there's not a huge difference in regards to poon to poon to poon. It has more to do with the individual. Some broads are lazier, some broads are more energetic, but generally speaking, poon is poon. Okay, so, you think you're missing out on something, ladies, in your marriage with a guy who's paying for you, paying for your house, paying for your child, paying for everything, going to work every day while you sit at home, eating bonbons, and having the pleasure of raising your child, and you somehow are still unhappy. You got issues, sweetheart. You got major issues. Anyway, please like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the content. And if you want to ask me some questions or suggest show content or have some subjects you want me to address, you can feel free to email me at admin@therealistphilosopher.com. And if you'd like to support my channel, please donate. Because despite what people might think, producing this show and this content actually does cost money. So if you would donate, that would be great. And also, if I want to continue to produce content, my motivation for me to continue to produce content is the ability to expand and create even more content and then enlarge my platform and my audience, none of which is free. So if you'd like me to be able to do that, if you'd like me to be able to reach more people, red pill more people, make people awake and aware of how reality really works and what's actually going on in the world, and the real motives behind the people, behind the decisions of those people who are in power, you want me to red pill people as to their real motivations and what's actually going on in the world as opposed to what you're told is going on, please donate. I really need your help. So if you'd like to support my content, please go to therealistphilosopher.com/donation. That is therealistphilosopher.com/donation. You'll see it right there on the screen. Yes, I do have my own website. It's a good place to find, to locate all of my available content. I suggest you make a note of it. So that with whatever happens with YouTube, depending on how long I might be there, you can still find me via other methods. Also, I'm all over social media. I'm at Gab, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can see all those links at the bottom. And if you'd like to be on the show and get my insight into more meaningful, personally speaking, issues that you have to deal with, family problems, traumatic childhoods, relationship issues in the present, family issues in the present, business issues, problems with people at work, whatever you'd like to discuss, feel free to send me an email so I can set a time to talk with you more in-depthly about this. Or if you just have a question or comment you'd like me to address, in a more surface fashion or not as in-depth, you don't want to be a guest on the show, you can also email those to me. So I will be back tomorrow from 9 to 10. The show ran a little long today. I'm going to have to work on that. And that's it. I hope to hear more of you call in the future. I am the Realist Philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.